In this video, we're covering things every Toyota hybrid owner should know, especially the questions that usually come up after living with one. These are small characteristics that can seem like problems at first if you don't understand how the system works. One of the most common questions about Toyota hybrids is the brakes, because the pedal doesn't feel like a traditional car. Hybrids use regenerative braking, where the electric motor helps slow the vehicle and converts that energy into electricity to recharge the battery. The system constantly balances braking between regeneration and the conventional hydraulic brakes. When you press the pedal, sensors measure how hard and fast you're braking. The computer determines how much regenerative braking to apply, then adds hydraulic braking as needed. Early hybrids were less refined, but modern Toyota systems handle this smoothly, even if the pedal still feels different. During slow stops, especially below about 5 miles per hour, you may feel the car dip forward. At low speeds, regenerative braking can't slow the car effectively, so the system switches fully to hydraulic brakes. This nosedive feeling is normal. Because regenerative braking does most of the work, brake pads last much longer than on conventional cars. If you want to test the hydraulic brakes alone, putting the car in neutral disables regenerative braking entirely. Another common question about Toyota hybrids is what happens when the hybrid battery fails, a major concern for new owners. When a battery starts to weaken, the first sign is usually multiple warning lights on the dashboard, which can look alarming. Despite the warnings, the car will still start and drive. Unlike a full electric vehicle, a hybrid doesn't shut down completely if the battery has an issue. The hybrid battery is made of many cells connected in series, and if one cell drops in voltage or behaves abnormally, the computer detects it immediately. When this happens, the system enters a fail-safe mode to prevent further damage. In fail-safe mode, the hybrid system is mostly disabled. The engine runs continuously and the car relies almost entirely on gasoline power. With the electric motors offline, the car feels underpowered and fuel economy drops significantly. This mode preserves just enough battery power to restart the engine, since hybrids don't use a traditional starter motor. Reverse operation is also limited because in Toyota hybrids, reversing depends on the electric motor. While the car will still move, reversing long distances may not be possible. Usually, this situation is caused by 1 or 2 weak cells, not a total battery failure, which is extremely rare. Another common concern with Toyota hybrids is the unusual sounds they make, which can surprise drivers used to conventional cars. One of the most noticeable is a high-pitched whining noise when slowing to a stop. It might sound like a failing transmission or an airplane, but in a hybrid, it's completely normal. That whining comes from the electric motor spinning as the wheels slow the car during regenerative braking. The motor converts that energy into electricity to recharge the battery, and the sound is just part of the process. It's not a sign of a transmission or mechanical problem. You may also hear a buzzing noise when opening the driver's door or pressing the brake pedal. This comes from the brake system priming itself. Since the brake pedal isn't directly connected to the brakes in the traditional way, the system needs to build pressure before driving. When the car sits, that pressure drops, so the system automatically repressurizes when you interact with the brakes. These sounds can be surprising, but they are completely normal. Every Toyota hybrid makes them, and they do not indicate wear or failure. Another question that often confuses Toyota hybrid owners is the meaning of the ready light. When you start a hybrid, the engine doesn't always fire up immediately. Instead, the dashboard shows a ready light that flashes briefly and then stays on. This light indicates that the vehicle is fully on and ready to drive, even if the engine is not running. This feature dates back to the first-generation Prius and has remained a key part of Toyota's hybrid design. Since the engine can shut off while the car is still operational, the ready light provides a clear signal that the vehicle is active. In modern hybrids, if the car is left running unattended, it will automatically shut off after about an hour to prevent any risk. EV mode is another common point of confusion. Engaging EV mode forces the hybrid system to run on electric power only, but only under specific conditions: low speeds, gentle acceleration, and sufficient battery charge. EV mode is meant for short distances, like moving through a parking lot or quiet residential streets. It is not designed for high speeds or hard acceleration, and the system will automatically exit EV mode if those limits are exceeded. Another behavior that can surprise Toyota hybrid owners is the car rocking back and forth on its own. This usually happens when the vehicle is stopped and the engine starts or restarts. Toyota hybrids use two electric motors alongside the gasoline engine. When the system starts the engine, the smaller motor spins it, and that motion is transferred through the transmission, causing a gentle rocking motion. This movement is completely normal and does not mean the car is moving on its own. When in park, the parking pal locks the transmission and keeps the car in place. Even so, if the parking brake isn't applied, you may still feel a slight forward or backward movement. This is also why leaving a hybrid in neutral for long periods is not recommended. In neutral, the parking pole is disengaged, so the car isn't mechanically locked. If the battery starts to lose charge while in neutral, the system cannot safely start the engine to recharge it, and warnings will appear instead of starting the engine. Short periods in neutral, such as during a car wash, are fine, but leaving the car in neutral while parked for a long time can quickly drain the battery. The slight rocking you feel is just part of normal hybrid operation. One of the most important things Toyota hybrid owners should know is how to extend the life of the hybrid battery. A key factor is the battery cooling system. In most modern hybrids, the battery sits inside the cabin, usually under the rear seat, so keeping it cool is essential. Toyota hybrid batteries are air-cooled, not liquid-cooled. A fan pulls air from the cabin across the battery to regulate temperature. Over time, dust, lint, pet hair, and debris can get into the system. In older designs without a filter, this buildup could block airflow, causing the battery to run hotter than intended, which shortens its lifespan. Newer Toyota hybrids include a dedicated hybrid battery fan filter. This filter is easy to access and traps debris before it reaches the fan. Keeping it clean ensures proper airflow and safe battery temperatures. A clogged filter can lead to overheating and reduce battery life. Checking and cleaning or replacing the filter periodically is simple and can make a significant difference in how long your hybrid battery lasts. Another point of confusion for Toyota hybrid owners is the shifter and what it actually does. Unlike a traditional automatic, putting a hybrid in neutral or park at a long light doesn't reduce stress on the transmission. The shifter's main mechanical role is to engage the parking pal when you select park. In vehicles with a physical shifter, this happens via a cable, while electronic shifters, like in the Prius, simply send a signal to a motor to engage the PAL. Beyond that, the shifter only tells the computer whether you selected drive, reverse, neutral, or park. Toyota hybrids don't use a torque converter, so they don't naturally creep forward when you release the brake. Instead, the system applies a small amount of motor power to simulate that familiar creeping motion. When stopped at a red light with your foot on the brake, the hybrid system is essentially idle, using very little energy, whether in drive or park. Reverse works similarly, with the motor running in the opposite direction once you release the brake. Neutral is the only gear that can interfere with hybrid operation because it disengages the parking pole and prevents the system from safely starting the engine or charging the battery.